Ya kundendu tushara hala devalaha. Ya kundendu tushara hala devalaha. Ya shubravastravata. Ya shubravastravata. Ya vina varadanda mandidakara. Ya vina varadanda mandidakara. Ya sveta padmasana. Ya sveta padmasana. Ya Brahma Shuddha Shankara Pihibiti Bihi. Ya Brahma Shuddha Shankara Pihibiti Bihi. Devai Sada Pujita. Devai Sada Pujita. Samam Bhato Saraswati Bhagavate. Samam Bhato Saraswati Bhagavate. Nishesha Jajapaha. Nishesha Jajapaha. Om Namah Shivaya Gurave. Om Namah Shivaya Gurave. Satchitananda Motaye. Satchitananda Motaye. Nishprapancha Shanta. Nishprapancha Shanta. Sri Shivanandaya Te Namaha. Sri Shivanandaya Te Namaha. Om Sava Mangala Mangliye. Om Sava Mangala Mangliye. Shive Tavata Sadike. Shive Savata Sadike. Sharanye Triambake Gauri. Sharanye Triambake Gauri. Narayani Namastude. Narayani Namastude. Narayani Namastude. Narayani Namastude. Om Namah Shivaya Gurave. We'll do it together. Last two verses. We'll do the last two verses together. Om. Om Namah Shivaya Gurave. Satchitananda Motaye. Nishprapancha Shanta. Sri Shivanandaya Te Namaha. Om Sava Mangala Mangliye. Shvetavata Sarike. Sharanye Triambake Gauri. Narayani Namastude. Narayani Namastude. Om Namah Shivaya Gurave. Satchitananda Motaye. Nishprapanchaya Shantaya. Sri Shivanandaya Te Namaha. Om Sava Mangala Mangliye. Shvetavata Sarike. Sharanye Triambake Gauri. Narayani Namastude. Narayani Namastude. Om. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om, peace, peace, peace. Bring your hands to Anjali Mudra, bow your head. Offer your practice to someone you know needs healing. Bring that being into your mind's eye, dedicate your practice to them. Namaste. Welcome, everybody. So we are continuing with the life story of Krishnamacharya. And Krishnamacharya is in old age now, still living in Chennai. His son here, Desikachara, is just talking a little bit about the students that have coming to him over the years, and this is what he has to say. What continually amazes me is the range of people who commit themselves to yoga. All are motivated by a desire to learn more about yoga, but only a few will become teachers of yoga. It is not the most brilliant intellect that makes the best teacher. It is the inner capacity to care about someone more than yourself. It is not the most brilliant intellect that makes the best teacher. It is the inner capacity to care about someone more than yourself. So you could also say there, it is not the best asana practitioner who makes the best teacher. It's not the person who has the most Sanskrit who makes the best teacher, the person who studied the most philosophy who makes the best teacher, the person with the best voice who makes the best teacher, the most intelligent person who makes the best teacher. It's not the person with the nicest yoga studio who makes the best teacher, etc. These aren't the qualifications of a yoga teacher. According to Krishnamacharya, the qualification of the best qualification for a yoga teacher is that you have the inner capacity to care about someone else more than yourself. So the idea is, traditionally, a yoga teacher, we're in a different world now. A lot of things are different, but still I think this applies. This applies if you really want to be a yoga teacher and you want to be a long-term yoga teacher and you want to help people, which is essentially what yoga is for. It's to help people. And so the idea is that if you're a yoga teacher, the term yoga teacher is a little bit misleading. Really, if you're a yoga teacher, you're a servant. So the thing that you're doing is you're serving the people who come to you to learn yoga. So this idea of being a servant is kind of something that culturally we've been kind of like, in the modern world, we tend to look down on a little bit. It implies subservience in some way. But to be a servant from an Indian cultural perspective with relation to spiritual practice, sadhana and yoga, is like a very high status. To be a servant of God, or a servant of a temple, or a servant of a shrine, or a servant in a yoga teaching context or philosophy or whatever it might be, is considered, it's revered, that status in India. It's different to the way we think about that word here. And that is essentially what a yoga teacher is. I know some of you are yoga teachers, and it's a very kind of liberating way to think about yourself as a teacher, someone who serves. So that is essentially, in yoga, we call that karma yoga, selfless service. Doing your actions and letting go of any fruits of the actions. If they come to you, good. If they don't come to you, it doesn't matter. But what you do is you still keep continuing with the service. This is important to understand. That's what it's implying here. And I talked about this the other day. When my teacher, David Life, here, I remember being on training with him in New York, and there was a group of us who were sort of doing teaching practice together, probably about 8 or 10 of us in a group, probably more, 12 people. And one of the things we would do is we would sort of like take it in turns to teach a particular sequence of asana. And then everybody would take it in turns to lead the sequence, and then others would be able to practice their adjusting, and people would be able to practice the asanas. And it went on and on and on for a few hours, and it's very tiring. It was very hot, and it was the end of a few weeks. We were all kind of knackered. And then so what happened is a few people started to sit out. They just sort of started to sit by the wall and rest instead of participating. And then David came in the room, and he like blew his top. And David is a very gentle, mild-mannered person. Some of those of you might know him, and a very, but he's also fierce. And a lot of traditional yoga teachers are like this. A lot of teachers in India, they were very strict. And Krishnamacharya had a reputation for being a very fierce teacher. A lot of people were afraid of him. But there's a role for that. And what happened was David came in, he saw these people sitting out, and he sort of went, what the hell do you think you're doing? You know, like, you think you're going to be a yoga teacher. You haven't got the first idea what it's about to be a yoga teacher. You've got to realize that you can't sit out. You can't let it go. You've got to die for this practice. You've got to die for your students. If it mean, and he said, the thing that you've got to realize is that you are now a servant. It's no longer about you, how you feel, what you like, what you want to do. You're a servant, and essentially you're a servant of God. And so you dedicate everything to your teaching, which is your sadhana, which is your practice. And he was very forceful about this, very strong. And he just sort of put it in those terms. He said, you've got to realize you're a servant. Let go of your own desires and your own needs. You are serving God. But what does that mean? He said, what does it mean? What does it mean for you to serve God? And he said, you serve God by serving your students. Your students are God. Each one of those people, those holy beings who comes through that door and wants to practice yoga with you, they're an embodiment of the divine. And so your purpose as a yoga teacher is to serve them, and through them you serve God. And I thought, that's a good way of describing being a yoga teacher. And I never forgot it. And I'm telling you one thing, I'm sure the people who were sitting out, they didn't forget it, because it was that directed at them, and it was very strong, very forceful. And this is sometimes what the teacher has to do. The teacher, my friend Guy Mitra, he would always say, it's good to have a living guru because they can kick your butt. You know, it isn't all about being now it's much more about patting people on the head, yoga teaching, being nice and kind of like, but there's a place for also being very tough as a yoga teacher. Not me, of course, I'm bad. I'm really nice all the time. No, not really, you know, no, I can be a pain. Okay, so yeah, so you get them, there's just I think that's an important thing to understand. Whether you're a yoga teacher or not, it can be important to understand that. As the years passed, a few such teachers emerged. For my father, there was one more student to enter his life, Mala Srivatsan, a young woman of immense importance to the continuation of Krishnamacharya's work. The member of a prominent family, Mala came to Krishnamacharya for treatment of severe asthma that she had suffered most of her life. She'd had the benefit of the finest medical treatment and an education in psychology. From the moment they met, Mala placed absolute trust in my father. She improved rapidly under his care. After a few months, Krishnamacharya did something I don't believe he'd ever done in his life. He asked her to continue as his student. This was totally unprecedented. Always it was the student who sought the teacher. I must admit that my mother and I were baffled by the fact that Mala came to see my father 2 or 3 times a week, even when he would see no one else. My father appreciated her value, and the last 8 years of his life, he introduced her to chanting and to certain teachings previously forbidden to women. Later, Mala assumed a position as the executive trustee of the Mandarin, so his trust was well placed in her because the Mandarin was the center which was opened in Krishnamacharya's lifetime, but to continue his teachings with the teachers who he had trained, or some of the teachers he had trained after his death. And it's still there. It's down the road from where they lived in Chennai, and you can still go and study there, train there. Although he continued to see a few students, and his studies went on unabated, my father's final years were very difficult. At 93, he could perform difficult asanas, including many variations of the headstand that younger masters could not. When he was 95, however, he fell and broke his hip. He doesn't say here how, but what actually happened was he would get up every morning to do his puja, to do his worship really early, sort of 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, and it would be dark. And he'd go into his room and sit and do his puja. And anyway, he goes into it, what he did the night before, and he forgot, he moved his chair across the room for some reason and put it against the wall. And then he goes into this dark room in the morning, goes to sit on his chair, and it's not there. He just crashes to the floor and breaks his hip. And he's 90, what did they say? How old? Anyway, 95. Because of the reputation of Krishnamacharya, several leading surgeons offered to operate, but he would have none of it. Instead, he rigged up pulleys and ropes by his bed and began to experiment with new yogic techniques for his own rehabilitation. Within 2 months, he was able to walk, but the loss of the full freedom of movement depressed him. Now, he said, I have lost my independence. Worse was the loss of my mother, who died 4 years before he did. My father had the greatest respect for my mother. When we were children, we would come home from school and he would say, greet your mother first. There was a new closeness in their last years together, when they would sit and talk on the porch each evening. The days were past when she used me as a go-between with him for sensitive family matters. Krishnamacharya wept often and bitterly after she died, the only time I ever saw him cry, and I don't believe that he ever got over it. There is no avoiding suffering and death, which even the gods experience. No matter how much we try to hedge against it with our devotion to health and wisdom, death is inevitable. What is within our control is the experience of this life itself. One of my favorite memories is the encounter between my father and a salesman who came one day to sell him insurance. Krishnamacharya listened for a while and then glared at the poor man. Insurance, said my father. God is my insurance. Who are you to sell me insurance? The salesman gathered his papers and fled. In his 98th year, my father moved to a small house on the corner of the property. He wished to devote himself solely to the worship of Narayana, which is Vishnu. Not long after his next birthday, a young doctor, so he's now 99, a young doctor whom he liked told him that he would die very soon, that the family must prepare. Nonsense, said my father. I'm not going to die now. It is not in my breath, and I know my breath. It is one of the most remarkable things I'd ever heard him say. How many of us can say that we know our breath that well? This is something that some yogis, are famously able to predict the time of their death. And it's done by the intimate understanding and knowledge of their own prana, their own breath. So Swami Shivananda famously told his followers, prepare everything because I will die in 3 days' time at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And that's exactly what he did. And there's accounts of many other yogis who have been able to predict their death in that way. And Krishnamacharya was one of them. And it's because of the intimate connection they develop with their pranic body, which is the energetic manifestation of their breath. And they can tell by the way the breath and the prana are moving in the body when the changes are taking place in their body that are bringing them towards the final samadhi. And in that way, if they're tuned in enough, they can predict their, in a little bit when they're going to pass. And when a yogi passes, you don't say that the yogi's died. You say the yogi has entered Maha Samadhi. Maha means great and Samadhi means liberation. So it's a liberation of the soul from the physical body. And an enlightened person, a saint or an enlightened person who's achieved a certain level of enlightenment in this life, they enter Maha Samadhi because they aren't necessarily reborn into another body. Their soul is sort of maintained in a state of Samadhi. Sometimes they do say in the scriptures that there can, sometimes even people who are in that samadhic state, like continually, and they take that maha samadhi at death, they do sometimes, like, they have a desire to come back into a physical body, and then they will continue with the human lives. But it's usually because they have an enormous amount to offer humanity, like great souls, like Christ, like Buddha, like Nelson Mandela, Mother Teresa, like great souls who come back to serve. They are people who are on a samadhic plane, but they've chosen the incarnation of the human body, like the Dalai Lama, precisely. Yeah, yeah. So, yeah. So that's kind of the breath thing is something that people can do. It's not as far out as it sounds. And if you just keep practicing your Nadi, maybe you'll be able to do it. Maybe not. Namaste. Come to the middle of your mat, stand into Asana. Yeah, turn the infrareds off. Yeah, thank you. Stand into Asana. Lift your chest. Bring your chin down, gaze into your heart with your eyes closed. And take a few moments to connect to the pranasthana, the heart space in the center of the chest where the breath begins and where the breath ends. And today, the last class of the term, I will be giving less instruction. I'll guide the class to a point, but I'll also leave you to continue with the practice on your own at certain points. We begin with Hasta Vinyasas. Inhale, arms widen overhead. Flip your palms and lift out of your hips. Chin down, look hard. Exhale and slowly lower the arms. And repeat. And then again, inhale, raise the arms. And this time stay with the arms up. Exhale fully. Chin down. Hold the breath out, bandhas. Release bandhas. Inhale, push the hands to the ceiling. Exhale, widen down. Parsva side stretch. Inhale, widen overhead. Exhale, lean to the right, lift the chin, look straight ahead, horizon line. Inhale, center. Exhale to the left. Inhale, center. Exhale to the right. And then hold. It's a short inhale and a long exhale. And when you've finished on that side, do the same on the other side. Try to keep grounded equally through the inseams of both feet. And we meet in Tadasana. And inhale, arms wide and overhead, flip the palms. Ardha Uttanasana, chin on the chest, exhale, fold halfway, hips back, navel in. You can have the prayer over your heart if it's too much for your back. Inhale, come up. Arch back a little bit at the top, chin down. Chin down, hitter. Exhale, fold halfway. And just stay there. Inhale, push the hands away from the hips. Exhale, chin down, look navel. Inhale, come up, arch back at the top. And exhale, Uttanasana, fold all the way down, hands to the legs or hands to the floor. And then do 2 more vinyasas like that. And we can arch back a bit at the top, but keep the chin down, keep the feet grounded strongly. And then the next time you go down, we're going to hold for 3 breaths. Take any hand hold you want. Short inhales, long exhales, neck relaxed, eyes closed, look navel. When you've done your 3 breaths, you come up, twist to the right and fold over the right outside of the right leg. Remind you how you do that. When you come up, it's an inhale. And then you exhale, twist to the right. And you do a short inhale where you arch back. And then you exhale over the right leg. And we'll just hold that for 2 breaths. If you can keep your fingers interlocked and press them outside your right foot, do that. Otherwise, bring the hands to the leg. Long exhales. Again, trying to keep equal weight on the inseams of both feet. The hips are moved a little bit out to the left. When you've done those 2, come up and change sides. Smooth Ujjayi breathing, completely relaxing the face, upper palate and tongue. Just be gentle with yourself. Don't struggle with anything, particularly your mind. Keep relaxed. Just breathe. And then we'll meet in Tadasana when you're ready. Utkatasana. Inhale, bring your arms to shoulder level, chin down. Exhale, squat down halfway. Thighs no more than parallel to the floor, navel in, chin on the chest. Push the hips away from your hands. Inhale, come up. And exhale, go down. Stay. Chin down. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Lift the palms, inhale, stand up, arch back at the top. Good. Exhale, Tadasana. And then do one Surya Namaskar. Come a bit towards the front of your mat. With mantra. Inhale. Om Mitle Namaha. Om. Up and over the head. Om Ravi Namaha. Forward. Hold the breath out. Om Sri Namaha. Inhale, exhale, squat. Om Bhanave Namaha. Back. Om Kage Namaha. Full prostration. Om Pushni Namaha. Back. Chaturanga. Om Hiranyagabe Namaha. Up dog. Om Mariche Namaha. Back. Om Mariche Namaha. Om Savitre Namaha. Om Ake Namaha. Anjali. Om Bhaskare Namaha. Tadasana. Eyes closed, look hard, Ujjayi breathing. Turn to the right, stand in Asana. We do Trikonasana, Parivrtta Trikonasana. Inhale, raise the arms shoulder level. Exhale. Hop or step the feet. Feet 30 degrees. Inhale. Exhale, go down to the right. And then go to the inhale up and to the left. Just smooth Ujjayi breathing. Feel the ends of the breath. Do another Vinyasa. Once to the left, once to the right, and then the third time you go to the right side, hold for 3 breaths. If you're going to the left, you want to really push down into the right leg. Try and keep the weight equal in both feet. 3 breaths on the right side. You choose your drishti. When you've done your 3 breaths, you switch sides. Remember, the hips go back a bit in this version of Trikonasana. I'm not trying to get flat like you're in a sandwich. The hips back a bit, more like that. And then put your hand, the hand will go a bit lower. And then you've got to work more, just twisting. Yeah, so it's almost like a slight bit of forward bend in it. Put your chin down a bit. When you've done your breath, inhale, come up. And do the Parivrtta. And the arms are out at shoulder level, turn to the right. And do an inhale there, arms out like wings over the right leg. Turn to the right. No, come up. Okay. I'll remind you. Inhale, turn to the right, stay up. Exhale, fold over the right leg. Inhale, come up. Pivot. Exhale, fold halfway over the left leg. Legs strong. Inhale, come up. Arms straight out from the sides, Kwan. Turn to the right. Exhale, fold halfway. Good. Now just stay there. Inhale. And then twisting from the lower back into the base of your skull, bring the left hand down, the right arm up. Right hand can go on the small of the back. Take 3 breaths. Long, smooth Ujjayi breath. Side wall or top hand. After your 3 breaths, we'll meet in Trikonasana Sthiti. Arms shoulder level, feet 30 degrees. Okay, so just go, when you come up, try to remember. So just go down into it again on your right. I'll remind you so you can remember it on the left side. Okay, you exhale there, your final exhale. Hand on the floor, right arm up. And then when you come up, you don't come straight up. Remember, you inhale, come up halfway with the arms like wings. Then you exhale. You can dip your chest a little bit more if you want. And then you inhale and come up. You've got to just, everything is considered. And then exhale to the left and fold halfway and continue on the left side. Do the same thing on the left. When you twist, try not to just bring the right hand down. Try to twist from the hips, from the lower back, middle back, upper back, then through the cervical spine into the base of the skull. The head turns last. Make the exhale long. Remember to come out the way you went in. And we'll meet in Trikonasana Sthiti. Hands on the waist. Inhale. Exhale. Soften your knees. Hop or step feet together. Tadasana. Turn to face the front. Inhale. You've got 2 options here. You can bend the right knee and hold the knee, or you can hold the right big toe. And stagger yourselves a little bit so you've got room if you're going to bring the legs out with holding the big toe. And then inhale, bend the right knee, hug the knee or the toe. Bring the left hand to your hip. Inhale. Exhale, knee to the side, optional. Look over the opposite shoulder. And then one Gayatri. Om Bhur Bhuva Suvaha Tat Savitur Varendyam Bhago Devasya Dhimahi Dio Yonat Prachodayata. Om. Inhale to the front. Exhale, release. Inhale, extend the leg. Engage the quadricep, hips back. Exhale, Tadasana. Do the other side. Om Bhur Bhuva Suvaha Tat Savito Varanyam Bhago Devasya Dhimahi Diyo Yonat Prachodayata. Om. Forward. Exhale, release, hands to the waist. Extend the leg. Inhale there. Push out for the ball of the foot. And exhale, Tadasana. Lead and return sequence. See if you can remember it. There's no full prostration. Okay, we'll start again. Okay, there's a little bit at the beginning most of you forgot. So inhale and exhale. It doesn't start with the hands over the heart, lead and return. That's for the sun salutation, which is a prayer. Lead and return is a connecting vinyasa between other vinyasas. Inhale, arms widen overhead, flip your palms. Exhale, remember this bit, palms face forward. And then inhale, arch from the upper back. Don't bend your knees. And exhale, fold. And then move through the vinyasa, leaving out the full prostration. We meet in down dog, 3 breaths. Three breaths in down dog, and the optional bandhas. If you're not doing the bandhas at the end of each breath, then just focus on the longer exhale. Keep your chin moving towards your chest, towards Jalandhara Bandha. And if you're taking the bandhas, remember to release the bandha before you begin the next inhale so you don't get tense. Not continuous holding of bandha. When you've done your 3 breaths, it's Utkatasana, sit down, Dandasana. Then move through the correct sequence from Dandasana to come onto your back into Suptasana with your hands beside your hips. And take rest. Suptasana, hands beside the hips, palms down. Legs are together, arms close to the body. No J breathing. Awareness in the heart. Hridaya. I'm going to give you the option into Taka Mudra. So the Pon Mudra you can do with all the mamas, if you can remember how to do that. Flicking your gaze, there will be a big toe. Well, you see if you can remember it. It's like, I'll remind you, and then I want you to try and do it. If you're going to do it with mamas, it's big toes, ankles, knees, tops of thighs, perineum, heart, throat pit, soft palate, nose tip, third eye. Then you look up and out through the crown of your head. When you take the long exhale, preparing for the mudra, you switch the gaze to Nabi in your navel. And then you do Mula Uddiyana Bandha, looking into the navel. Then you release all the bandhas, do the same thing again. If it's too much for you to remember the mamas and do them, then you just do the long exhales, looking into Nabi, holding the breath out. In your own time, 2 Tataka mudras. Inhale, if you're using the mamas, has got to be slower as it's controlled by the Ujjayi sound. Arms are over the head for Tataka Mudra. And say that if you were lying in a forest, an animal should be able to drink out of your belly. It should be like a little pond. There should always also be ponds in your eyes and pond in your mouth. And you want the arms over the head with the feet flexed, because that's how you're going to get the most action in the lower abdomen for the Uddiyana Bandha. Do 2, and then when you've finished, come back to take rest. Take a couple of breaths in that Sukhasana. Take rest with the arms beside your hips. Now, this is the posture you always take after a mudra, because in a mudra, you've concentrated the energy in the central channel, and you want the feet together and the arms close to hold the energy centrally in Sushumna Nadi. Whereas if you were to now fall into Shavasana with the legs apart and the arms away from the body, you would dissipate the prana more into the extremities of the body. That comes at the end. And then inhale, arms over the head, flip your palms, and fully exhale. Hold the breath out and sit up. Use your hands to help if you need to. Fold over the legs and take the outsides of your feet. It wants to be a sort of swift movement to come up. And then inhale, come up, arms over the head, flip the palms. And keep going down till you're on your back if that is something, that sit-up is something you can do. And then you fully exhale. And with the breath held out, you come up again. And do that one more time. First one's outsides of the feet. Second one's tops of the feet. And the third time you hold the big toes. And then after the third time, you come up and you bring the hands over the head again into Niralamba Dandasana. And exhale, bring the hands down beside your hips. Inhale, bring your legs wide apart. And exhale there. Andrea, come up. And then inhale, bring your arms over your head and flip your palms. And then do the churning over the right leg, across to the left. One long exhale. Reaching out all the way, chin down, arms in line with the ears. And on the inhale, you lift up. Do that 3 times each side. Don't go too fast. Slow breath. Slow on the way down, slow across, and slow up. So the Ujjayi needs to be very strong as you go down and across, because that will control your movement. Slow movements. When you've done 3 each side, come back to the center with the arms over your head. We all meet with the arms over the head for the Parivrtta. So inhale and face now over your right leg. And as you exhale, fold over the left leg. Keep the top shoulder up. Inhale, come up, come to the center, and keep facing to the right. Go over the left leg again. Good. You can bring the left hand down or elbow down or hold the inside of the foot. You can bring the top arm just up and extend it over, or bring it all the way down and hold the outside of your foot and rotate up under your arm. And breathe there. 3 breaths, short inhales, long exhales. Keep active in your right leg. Push out through the ball of the foot. Don't completely flex the foot. Eyes closed. Look nose tip. After your 3 breaths, come up and do the same on the other side. 2 vinyasas, hold. It's actually 1 vinyasa, hold second time. If you're holding with the right hand, the thumb is facing upwards and the thumb is on the top of the foot, and then you hold the sole of the foot with the fingers. You move the bottom shoulder forward and the upper shoulder back. Yes, that's good. After your 3 breaths, you find your way up. Arms over the head. When you're ready, take your time. All breaths are different. And then you just fold forward a couple of breaths. Pratikriya counter pose. And your palms can just rest on the floor. Let your back round and your head go hairy. Close your eyes and look nabby, navel. Yeah. And flip the palms, inhale, come up. If you're in a really wide stance, bring your legs a little bit closer together. Hands down behind you 10 inches for counter posture. Squeeze the shoulder blades, lift the chest. Exhale, chin to the sternum. Inhale, hips up, chest up. Feet down. Exhale, down. Second vinyasa, inhale up. Hold. Exhale. Inhale, nudge your hips a bit higher. And exhale slowly down. Cross the ankles, hands to the floor, hop or step back, move through Chaturanga Vinyasa. And just do 1 long breath in downward facing dog. And soften your knees. Hop onto your shins. Vajrasana, hands on the knees. Grip the knees, try and get a little bit of grip on the knees so the arms are straight, and lift your chest up so there's a bit of resistance through the arms to get the chest really lifted and open, and then bring your chin down. Half Jalandhara, look into your heart, Ujjayi, breathing. Chin down a bit more, Hida. Don't do that with your back. Keep it straight. Keep it straight. Lift your chest, but don't arch your back like that. Yeah. Okay, that's the first. And then inhale, bring your arms up and over your head and separate your feet just a tiny bit. And then see if you can bring your hands down behind you, cross your forearms and hold your opposite big toe with the palms facing out. And if you can do that, if you can't, bring your hands back onto your knees, that's fine. Big toes, yeah. And then same thing, inhale, lift your chest. And exhale, bring your chin down to your chest. And pull on the arms, lift and open your chest. Take a breath then. Try not to lean back. And then on the next inhale, switch the gaze to your third eye. Drop your head back, Jalandhara Bandha backwards, compressing the back of the neck. Gaze right up through the center of your forehead. Brahmaja. 3 breaths. After your 3 breaths, bring your chin back down slowly. Sweep your arms overhead. Flip your palms. And then separate your palms and fold forward. Put your hands on the floor and relax. Relax your shoulders. Turn your toes under and step back to downward facing dog. Take an inhale and a long exhale. Hold the breath out. Soften the knees, hop to Utkatasana, holding the breath out. As you sink into Utkatasana, breathe out more. Separate the knees, sit down, Dandasana. Bharadvajasana or other spinal twists. So I'll help you get into it because some of you are going to be doing different things. So Bharadvajasana, if you're doing the full posture, bend the left leg back to the chest and then bring the left foot to the outside of your right hip with the sole of the foot up. And if you're not doing that variation, just keep both legs straight at the moment. Bring the knees in close together and support your right sit bone to get your pelvis parallel to the floor if you need to. And then everybody bend the right knee in and bring the foot into half lotus or the foot to the inner thigh. Bring the heel to your belly button first, move the knee back to open the hip, and then bring the knee across and bring the knees very close together. Good. That's good, Andrea. Yeah. And then inhale, bring the arms up over your head and flip your fingers. And exhale, fold in the space between your knees. Just pause there and relax. And then inhale, come up, and exhale, twist to the right. Bring the right hand round behind you and hold the lotus foot. Put it on the top of the thigh or bring the right hand behind you. And then bring the left hand onto the right knee. The first inhale and long exhale, twist the whole body, including the head to the right. And then the first exhale, the head turns and looks down at the left knee. 3 breaths. And then when you're done, knees on the floor, just give it something. Inhale, come back to center, arms over the head. Exhale, fold in the space between your knees. Inhale, come up. Release the legs carefully, especially if you're in lotus, Dandasana. And then for the full posture, the right leg goes back and the foot to the outside of the hip, turning the calf flesh to the outside. And then everybody bends the left knee in. Do the same thing on the other side. Repeat the whole vinyasa sequence. When you do that initial fold forward, if you're in half lotus, that should help to just release your hip a little bit. And if you're able, no, it's this way, that right hand palm goes down outside the knee, doesn't have to be the whole palm, but just push down a little bit like that. And then, yeah, so you twist everything kind of is got resistance, the twist, resistance in all the parts of the twist. That's great. Yes, Sophie, that's good. But don't strain, and don't also strain that gaze. When you're comfortable looking at the knee, close the eyes and look at the tip of your nose. Don't tilt your head. Keep it in line with your spine and just look straight down. Yes. And then come out of the sequence when you're ready, and we'll meet in Dandasana. From the Dandasana, cross your ankles and just step back to downward facing dog. Inhale to plank pose. Exhale, knees, chest, chin down, hips high, banders on. Pause. Slide forward into a low cobra. Exhale, push your seat to your heels, long back down dog. Bring in, you have an option now. Just stay there for a couple of breaths with long exhale. So you can hop through now, come onto your back and do shoulder stand sequence. Or you can bring the knees down, take child's pose and do headstand sequence. You choose. If you're doing headstand and you're comfortable with it, you can still do the knees up and down vinyasas if you feel comfortable with the headstand. Otherwise, do shoulder stand, and I'll remind you of the vinyasas when we're all up. If you need to use the wall or you need to just support your hips on blocks today, do whatever is relevant for you. The thing about the best teacher, and it also applies to the best practitioner, is just someone who is kind to their own minds and bodies. Your practice. Get yourself settled in the practice, in the posture, and don't struggle. Establish your breath. Relax your mind. If you're in the shoulder stand, drop the gaze with the eyes closed into the back of your throat. Kantakupa. You just keep relaxed. If you're in the headstand, keep your shoulders lifted, keep your breath smooth. And if you're very comfortable, you can do these vinyasas in the headstand too. And then as you exhale, twist a little bit to the right. And bend the knees down towards your right ear. And then inhale, come up. Or you can just hold the headstand still. You don't have to do it. And exhale, twist the left. And keep exhaling until you're empty and the knees are down beside your left ear. And then inhale up. And on the exhale, bring both knees straight down, either towards your forehead or if you're in headstand, towards your chest. And hold there for a breath. Long exhale. And when you're ready, inhale back up. And then you can stay there for a couple of breaths now. Or if you're comfortable, if you're in shoulder stand, you can drop over into bridge. Or if you're in headstand, you could come into a pike position for Ardha Sirsasana with the hips back and the legs parallel with the floor. And do that vinyasa a couple of times. The preparation that we do in the Ardha Uttanasana standing is the preparation for that posture in headstand. So if you're in bridge now, take a couple of breaths there. Knees together, feet together in bridge. And then if you can, come back up into shoulder stand. And if you're in headstand, you can hold it a bit longer if you want, or you can come into child's pose, or if you're in shoulder stand, you can come into plow, and then Karnapidanasana, drop the knees beside the ears and point the toes, and just stay there for a couple of breaths. Knees separate, toes point strongly, tops of the feet on the floor in shoulder stand. Breath stays the same. Good. And then when you're ready, slowly roll down onto your back using your hands as brakes. Lots of little breaths so you don't get tense. Lots of little breaths. When you're ready, roll onto the front of your body, and if you need to take more time on your back, and do 3 vinyasas in Makrasana, crocodile pose, on your forearms. Eyes closed, look up, third eye. And on the third time, hold for 3 breaths. And bring the head back so it counterposes the neck. Exhale down. Inhale up. Try and bring your chest as low as you can, Helen. Yeah, like that. That's it. Yeah. Keep your elbows in, Quan. Keep your elbows in, Andrea. No wider than your shoulders. When you've done 3, come onto your back and relax in Shavasana. Make sure you're warm enough for Shavasana and your Pranayama. Roll your head from side to side. And then let go of your Ujjayi breathing. Your feet apart. More. Now bring your arms wide too. And then just relax your shoulders. Let go of that tension in your shoulders. Yes. You need something under your head. Ashley, I mean, that's blocked by the eyes. Your head needs to be up a little bit. Like that. Is that too much? Yeah. Like that. Just so that you've still got the natural alignment in your spine there. It's better. Your awareness is in the Pranayama and Shavasana. Center of your chest, just in front of your spine. Feet of prana. Just watch the breath begin and the breath return there. And all your awareness drops into that space. Prana you've generated through your asana. And your breathing is concentrated there when you bring your awareness to it in Shavasana. And then from there, the nadis flood out. 108 major nadis flow from that energy center, that chakra, into every cell of your body. And if you just gently hold your awareness there, recharge, cleanse and purify your physical and your astral body and your mind. And the prana is super intelligent if you just give it the space to do its thing. Oh. Deep in your breath. Feet together, arms by your sides. Inhale, stretch arms over your head and stretch through your whole body. Bend the knees, hug the knees. Exhale, lift the forehead towards the knees. And then make your way into a seated posture for pranayama, kneeling or cross-legged. And we're going to do just one round of Kapalabhati, 24 expulsions. If you're doing full Kapalabhati, do that. If you're working on some preparatory practice for your Kapalabhati, then feel free to do your thing. Have your mala to hand. Inhale, bring the arms over your head and flip your palms. And then just release the interlock of your fingers and interlock your fingers the weird way, and then push up again. Lift your whole chest. Try and lift so you feel it come out of your hips, out of your lower back. And bring the arms back a bit so it lifts the lower ribs. And then inhale there. Try and feel that you keep that expansion in your rib cage as you exhale. Close your eyes. Bring your chin slightly down and look into your navel center nabhi. Then a little shallow inhale to begin Kapalabhati. Hex, 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 hex. You count, another 20. Make it snappy. Keep the chin down. Keep the arms up. Try and keep the arms back a little bit so it keeps the chest stretched. After the 24, you know what to do. Bring the right hand into Vishnu Mudra. Close the right nostril, bring the right hand into Vishnu Mudra. Inhale both nostrils, Ujjayi. Retain. Exhale left, no sound. Inhale left. Retain. Exhale, Ujjayi, both nostrils. Inhale, Ujjayi, both. Retain. Exhale right, no sound. Inhale right. No sound. Retain. Exhale, Ujjayi, both. We'll add on the mamas now if you want them, or continue in that way. Inhale, Ujjayi. Look nose tip, third eye, soft palate, navel, perineum, retain, look heart. Exhale left, no sound, look heart. Inhale left, look nose tip, third eye, soft palate, navel, perineum, retain, look heart. Exhale, Ujjayi, both. And then inhale, Ujjayi, with or without mamas, and continue. when you can do a couple more rounds if you want to, and then when you come out of the pranayama, pick up your mala and go straight into meditation. When you do finish, you want to finish on the left nostril. No rush. When you come into your meditation, rest your awareness in the heart center or the third eye. You choose, whichever feels the most natural to you. And establish a natural breath. After your pranayama, it should be very quiet, peaceful, no effort in the breath. And your mind drops into the chakra of your choice. The mind, the active mind, becomes absorbed in the peaceful place of the third eye or the heart. And the mind itself just rests. And then I want you to listen very carefully to that natural breath. As the breath comes in, roll the mala. And as the breath goes out, roll the mala. And so the mala, the point of concentration, and the breath become one. And then listen a little more to that breath until you can hear the mantra, Om, or your personal mantra in that breath. Try not to say it, try to let it materialize, rise up from your breath. It's already there, it's just waiting for you. It's waiting for you to connect. when you find that connection, just allow the joy, the happiness to flood through you. The joy of deep connection to your true soul. Let go of your point of concentration. Let the mantra fade and release the mala into your cupped hands. Try to sit still if you can for a few more moments. Do absolutely nothing. Just rest in thought-free silence. With your mind completely relaxed. Shunya. And begin to deepen your breath. And the mala cupped between your palms, bring your hands into Anjali Mudra. Inhale deeply for Om. Om. Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandham Pushtivaranam Ovarukamiva Vandanat Prityo Mukshiyamamritat Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. May all beings everywhere be happy and free. May I offer my life to all beings everywhere. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om Peace, Peace, Peace. Om Bolu Sakalus Bhagavan Ki Jai. Remind yourself the intention you made for your practice. Namaste.
Namaste.